We are a family. Say we are a family. I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are a family. We are a family. I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are family. Only through the grace of God. Oh, only through the grace of the Lord. We don't deserve the lives that we live. It is only through the grace of God. Only through the grace of God. Only through the grace of the Lord. We don't deserve the lives that we live. It is only through the grace of God. What we are and are to be, what we dream of and hope to see is not in our hands, but in the hands of God. It is only through the grace of God. Only through the grace of God. Only through the grace of the Lord. We don't deserve the lives that we live. It is only through the grace of. What if you I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are a family. We are. Kan ibu may bloke. Extra belang kan kingdom. I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are a family. We are a family. I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are a family. Say we are a family. I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter, and we are family. We are a family. I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are a family. Let's say we are a family. I need you, you need me. I need you, you need me. Oh, so let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are a family. So we are a family. I need you, you need me. So let's love deeper, talk sweeter. We are family.
Thank you, Edward. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second annual Men Affirming Dignity, MAD for short, Indaba. And I will share a little bit more about what it is. I know that for most people that are here, it's the first time, so you have no clue, you don't know what this is all about. But thank you for your presence, thank you for being here. This is a time really of conversation and reflection. So I want you to relax. My name is Elizabeth Horn Peterson. Myself and Ashwin will hold the space for you together with Edward. No, together with Edward, who is going to help us with music. You know, Susila Noakla? Eh? Oh, no. I know. Don't worry. No, we know the space is a sacred space and confidential space. And nobody, we will take responsibility for our time together. Please, can you sit in front first? The back seats are for those. Wat het hulle gedoen in die kerk? Hoe sit dit the back seats? I won't now say because there's some pastors here in the room as well. So the pastors know who they used to put in the back. You know, plus now the seats is nogal die color ook, huh? Please, you must take the mic, Ashwin, want ons gaan mos saam praat. No? So we'll be in conversation together. So yes, I just wanted to say warm welcome. I'm Elizabeth, and we will be journeying together for this entire week. And so we have quite a bit that we have prepared for this week. Move your chair. If you cannot see me, if I can't see you, then you move the chair slightly so that you can be seen. You know, that is important. That is at least important for me. You can see the setting even. We wanted, us to see each other because we'll be in conversation. So there will be sharing, but we will actually be in conversation with each other as well. So, yeah. So, Ashwin, do you want to introduce yourself? And then...
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Goeiemorgen. Molweni, dumelang, legai. So, my name is Ashwin Deploy. I am the program coordinator for the Men Affirming Dignity Initiative. I'm also, when we come to this capacity, then I'm also the occupational health and safety officer for SAFI, and so I'm going to just run through the safety protocols for the day, and that you know that you are safe. If you see me, just know you're safe. If you don't see me, stress. So while I'm here, you're quite fine. So ladies and gentlemen, we are at the Artscape, and this is a public space. It is, for us now, it's a private space, but it's also a public space, and with that comes different rules and, I don't want to say regulations, but every house has its rules. And so with every rules that every house has, it makes things flow even much better. So for today, we will be in this space for the 4 days. As of today, right up until Friday, we will be in this space. And I want you to know that when you step into this space, and if an emergency happens, that you know what to do. So in the case of an emergency, this is a non-smoking zone. So if you are a smoker and your lungs need to breathe with nicotine, then we invite you to go outside, far outside. Otherwise, we're going to put you in the sauna bank there at the back. Yeah? So if you are a smoker, outside, and then the toilets, you'll find if you leave out of the room, to your left, and then again to your right, there where the catering section is, just on your right hand side, you have on your right you have females, and your left you have the males. I know the male toilets this side, there is no water for the washing of their hands. So the males, I'll refer to the far end of the Artscape. It's past the cafeteria area, also to your right hand side. Then in the case of an emergency and we hear the fire siren and we hear that there's an emergency evacuation, 50% of the room will follow. I will direct you, I will guide you. So I say, you don't have to worry. Ashwin's here. Go through that door. You'll see it looks like a wall, but there's actually an escape door here. So you will go through here. 50% of us will leave here through, and the other 50% of us will leave via the front door. Then what will happen? Our emergency meeting point will be in front of the Artscape at the bottom of the steps. That's where we will meet, and then the other 50% will meet downstairs in the basement until the area is declared safe, and then we will come back inside. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody clear about what will happen? I mean, in the event that anything happens. But we trust
Don't run. Just don't run. Don't run. I know we're going to panic. I also know myself. Een ID. But don't worry. You will be safe. I will relax that time.
Yeah. No, I think it's just important to indicate, in the event that anything should happen. So what I would like for us to do now, just by way of bringing us into the room and to know who is in the room, we will just take the mic and, take it through And we will just ask you to just say your name and from which community you are, or where were you born, like just something like that. You know, no, I don't want people to feel a particular way. I know that we have people here that might feel uncertain because they don't know, it's the first time that they are here. We don't share what we don't need to share. This is not a place that you feel like you have to share your personal experiences. We will share some information that is actually, that connects all of us, right? And so we will just do the introductions, and then I will give you maybe I should start by actually giving you the purpose, just so that, just to assist us why we are gathered here. So this is our second annual Men Affirming Dignity Indaba. What is the Men Affirming Dignity initiative about? You will hear a little bit more about that. Ashwin will share a little bit more about that. But just to give you a little bit of insight, the MAD initiative of SAFI, South African Faith and Family Institute, is really to put the spotlight onto the humanity of African men, or the personhood. What does it mean to be human? So the personhood, the humanity of African men who affirm dignity. That means, someone who knows that everybody else, every human being has innate value and worth. And so we know, if we look at the media, on the news, in the newspapers, whenever we see or we read about black men, African men, then usually we see images that reflects a violent man. We usually see corruption. We usually, even with the African leaders, there's a tendency for us to see in the media all these images that seems to suggest that all black men, all African men are essentially violent and abusive, and that we should be afraid of them. And then we only get a few. Who's the icons? There's only a few African men in the whole entire universe, in our entire lifetimes, that gets to be icons. Who of you remember any of the icons, black icon, men that are icons? Desmond Tutu, Madiba, Martin Luther King. Have you noticed that in this world, the icons seems to be only African men? Have you ever seen anybody being lifted up as an icon, a white man that is an icon? I'm just asking, right? So what SAFI is doing, we are sitting here, we're talking about these things. We are saying, hold on. While we know that there are some African men, some black men, who have been very brutal and violent and abusive to some women, this is not the story of all of the African and black men, right? And so the MAD initiative is then built on what we started. Is we've put together an exhibition, which was in the Ezekiel Museums, the Slave Lodge. It was there for 4 years. It is now out. It's no longer in the museum. But what we then have done is we have digitized it, so it's an app now. So you would be able to actually get the MAD exhibition online. It's an app. And so what you have in the exhibition is the stories of 14 colored African men from the Cape Flats. And you will hear us refer to colored African people, colored African men, because also we know that the term colored is a term that was given to us by the apartheid government in this country. And so what we need to do as part of our conversations, especially for us or peoples here in South Africa, is to begin to unpack what does it mean, what does these terms and identities mean? Because we've been given and classified as Black African, colored African, Indian, white. What does that actually mean for us, as we do our daily lives? So the MAD initiative is really very specifically about putting the spotlight onto the humanity, the personhood of colored African men who affirm dignity. And so that's what the exhibition is about, right? And we will hear later about the catalyst. We will hear all of those things. But I just wanted to give a little bit of a context. So what we then do is for this week, we will be, really reflecting on various themes. And let me go to my notes. So the MAD Indaba 2025 is more than just an annual gathering. It is a sacred act of remembering, reclaiming, and reimagining, hence the overarching theme, a rites of passage, pilgrimage of dignity. Moenie worry vir die groot woorde of words, or maybe it's not even big words, it's maybe just words that we don't use every day. It's not big words. It's words that we don't use every day, but we want to be intentional about what it is that we are doing, and also for you to understand what it is that we are all doing. So this is like a rites of passage for all of us together and for us as individuals. This is what we term this entire time that we will be together. So it's a rites of passage, pilgrimage of dignity. It honors the lived experiences of the colored African community on the Cape Flats while offering tools and space for healing and human flourishing through sacred conversations, rituals, heritage, and the power of music. It is a journey of shared heritage, pain, memory, dreams, and resilience. So the background and the reason for the MAD initiative continues to emerge as a vital, transformative opportunity that centers life from within our communities on the Cape Flats, particularly among colored African people whose histories and identities have long been marginalized, misrepresented, or erased. The MAD exhibition, which is a brainchild of the South African Faith and Family Institute, SAFI, the organization, was housed, like I said, for that period in the Slave Lodge in Cape Town. And it has sign language in it. So when you look at the different stories of the men in the exhibition, it is accessible to deaf people as well. So they will be able to follow and interact with the exhibition. And we wanted it really to be in the museum because museums captures history. No? So we thought that, no, this is not just stories that we want to this is our life. This is our history that needs to be in the museum. So we were intentional about that. So we basically use this particular 4 days because you may be wondering why the 21st to the 24th of October. So these are the dates of the man who is the catalyst, the man who, because of his life, the MAD initiative came about. And his name is, and he gets to be my dad, or I get to be his daughter. I get to be his daughter, Daniel Horn. And he was born on the 21st of October, 1938. So that is today, right? And when we started the MAD initiative, actually in 2017, I think we started those conversations. And when we eventually got the exhibition in the museum, we knew that we needed to have conversation, right? Regular conversation. And we knew that it was going to start on the 21st. But guess what? So then in 2022, he died on the 24th of October. Isn't it amazing? So immediately we knew this is divine dates that God had instituted. And so every year we will be gathering like this, to reflect, not just on his life. I mean, all the other men, there's many, many stories. We will see how this will evolve. The intention is just like we have annual Women's Day, we should have annual MAD days, where we actually, and this is not about competition. This is about acknowledging the life-affirming contributions that African men bring, just like we celebrate and appreciate the life-affirming contributions that women bring. So this is the intention. And so I've lived with him. So I've seen him, throughout my life. I've seen him through the worst years of apartheid. Maybe not the worst, because by the time I was born, he was 30-something, right? But as a young man, how he struggled through apartheid. But what I have witnessed is this extraordinary person, actually simple, very simple, plain person, but he never lost his humanity. I saw how he was treated. We must see how our parents were treated during apartheid, our grandparents. Some of the way that apartheid happened was it spilled over even in the church. So even in the church we saw how he was treated. But for some reason he kept steady. Even though I know that these days I hear how men often, or I hear maybe in social media or everywhere, men needs to be respected. And there's like this thing, men needs respect, woman needs to be loved, men needs to be respected. I have witnessed this human being being disrespected, but he never lost his self-respect. And he never disrespected others. And I always thought to myself, there must be many more African men like him. We're not talking about perfection. We're talking about what apartheid and colonialism, these things have done, was really instituted to dehumanize us, put us in circumstances like the Cape Flats, like the townships, so that we must suffocate. Because the circumstances is such that you cannot actually really live, a full life and flourish. So that was the intention of apartheid, colonialism, oppression, poverty, all of these things. But amongst us are countless people, like Daniel Horn, who decided their resistance is they will hold on to their self-respect, and they will respect every human being, even whether that person may forget themselves and become disrespectful, right? So this is then the MAD Indaba. It centers really the voices and lived experiences of apartheid, racially classified colored African men, their relationships with women and their families across the Cape Flats communities. And the Mad Indaba 2025 will take the form of sacred conversations. We will be visiting some heritage sites to facilitate this idea of our collective rites of passage, pilgrimage. And it seeks to deepen our journey together of listening, learning, healing, and pursuing our own need to flourish as human beings. This venue, the Mad Indaba 2025, is held at the Artscape Theatre in the heart of Cape Town's CBD. CBD, what is CBD? Central Business District, right? It is housed here, and this space is a culturally and historically significant venue that reflects the deep connection between art, activism, and identity. As a long-standing creative space, the Artscape provides the ideal environment for critical conversation, collective healing, and artistic expression. And at SAFI, we hold our events at spaces like this where our people once could not enter freely. So we are using this space. So we're intentional. We don't just take people's places. We don't just find bahasa venue, inaka venue. No. We are intentional. Because the harm that was done to us as a people was intentional. The harm that was done to our people was very meticulous, very intentional. Faith was used. Scriptures and teachings was used. And still up until today, there's intention to separate men and women from each other. Women are lifted up and men are ignored. Men are lifted up, women are ignored. And so we need to recover, we need to reclaim ourselves. We need to say, like my mother probably would say, skrik wakker, vuka. We must wake up. We are not in the circumstances, what has happened to us, even some of our intimate relationships, some of our family conditions, is not just so. And we are the generation, we are the ones that are going to shift things. It will stop by me. It will stop by you. We're not going to say, no, it is my so. I was born into this. I don't care how many relationships has happened that has been abusive or violent or men trying to do whatever. It's going to stop here. Right? My children will see. And I want to say, and this is just my personal, thing, you got to take seriously the fact that you are alive. My dad said when after COVID, and people started to say, we're so happy to see each other because there were many people that died, right? Many. We didn't know, you and I didn't know whether we were going to live. And so now ons is bly because ons lewe. But then he said, Here, you are happy that you are alive. You should be asking God definitely wants something from you in this life. Don't take it for granted that you are still alive. The kinds of things and the kinds of experiences that all of us have experienced, whether it is as a collective during apartheid, during COVID, al die goedes. Some of us, the kinds of things we experience in our childhood, the kinds of things that we experience in some of our intimate relationships, it is God's grace that we are here, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, what is it I need to ask myself? What is it that I need to heal? What is it that I need to come to terms with? What is it that I am supposed to contribute? Because I'm not just here. So I remember several years ago, my first job at St. Anne's Homes, the shelter, when I got there and I saw So as a social worker, and as I saw the children coming there, and there's no men working in the shelter usually, right? You can check shelters for abused women in general. They don't have men working there. And I saw our children who have mainly only experienced black men as violent and abusive. And I said to myself, this has to change. And we started conversation, said we need to get a man, a black man, an African man to work here. They said, no, we don't want, niks te doen hê met mans. Hulle is die rede. They are the reason why we are in the shelter. I said, listen, our children cannot grow up thinking that only black men are bad. Because I saw when white men came, because black men doesn't come for voluntary work. I mean, ons omstandighede, we must work, right? But I saw when there was white men coming to the shelter to do voluntary work, how our children would jump on them and cling on them. And even when they have to leave, they don't want these men to leave. And I said to myself, something has to change. This was in the 90s, the beginning of the 2000s. And I managed to convince the women. I said, this is important for our future, our children's future. When they finally agreed, I said to God, you better make sure we get the right African men, black men in this space. And so, yes, Martin is still at St. Anne's. He's still at St. Anne's. And what I'm trying to say, you cannot see something that is not right and then just leave it and say, oh no, it is more like this. No. You are there, you and I are there. We are disturbed because it is God that disturbs us. God wants us to shift things about. That's just one example, okay? So I've given you enough to give you a sense of our context. So we will now just go around in the circle and introduce ourselves, your name, and where you're from, which community you're from. Thank you.
Good morning, must I stand or can I sit? Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Margaret. My surname is Weber. I was born in Retreat, moved to Lansdowne, and like you said, a lot of properties that was taken from us, so we moved to Paarlwood. And I want to say thank you this morning for Dr. Elizabeth, for what the Lord laid upon your heart. And it's only by grace that we are alive. Because when I wake up in the morning, I ask the Lord every day, what is it that you want me to do today? Because there's always something that the Lord put on your heart to do, even if it's to reach out to somebody outside, to give somebody a piece of bread, whatever it is. And I thank the Lord this morning to be here, to say something. Dr. Elizabeth, I really look up to you. I spoke to somebody yesterday. Through God's grace, because you are a woman that are very focused, and I learn a lot from you, and I want to thank the Lord for that. And like you said, if there's something wrong, we have to stand up, talk about it. Sometimes people don't like that, but it is important for them to know that this isn't right. So I thank the Lord this morning for what you said this morning, and it gives me courage to go for it. Whatever circumstances come my way, I say to the Lord, this is actually to make me strong. And this is actually to help me to push forward. So I thank the Lord this morning for being here and for you as a role model. I thank God for that.
Thank you.
May the Lord just bless you in whatever you are still, whatever He is still leading you into it, because I know we can't do it by ourselves, but by the grace of God. So thank you, Dr. Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you, Auntie Maggie. Julle moet nie vir my dankie noodwendig sê nie. That was like a once-off, né? So, But thanks, Auntie Maggie.
Good morning, everybody. My name is David Weber. I'm from the Mitchells Plain area, and I represent the Overcomers Stroke Support Group. And that is what the reason why I'm here, and it's good to be here for the second year running, Dr. Elizabeth. Thank you for the invite.
Good morning, everybody. I greet you all in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I thank God for His love. I'm Neville. I'm from Mitchells Plain. I'm one of the stroke survivors. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Earl Mentor. I'm from the community of Ocean View. Stone throw away from Simonstown and Noordhoek, where my parents were forcefully removed. Still sit with that untouched trauma. But it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. My name is Janine. My surname is Josias. So it's very interesting you have to say where you're from. Some people always ask you where you're from. Then I can just say that I was born in Elsie's River. But because my dad was a pastor, we stayed in Belleville, Paul, Kensington, Isendal, and Belleville. So I can never say I'm from a place, but I can say where I was born. It's the first time you actually asked me that question. So it's the first time that I come to MAD. I've been to other events of Safi, and I always thought, MAD, this small. Then I thought, no, I must understand it. So I've read up on it. I've looked at the exhibition outside, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Fungai. I was born in a small town in Zimbabwe. I'm from Zimbabwe. And I'm a postdoc researcher at Stellenbosch University and UCT. And when I did my PhD research, Safi was one of my case studies. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Connie Waverley. I'm from Mitchells Plain. It has taken me back to many years, Dr. Elizabeth, because we were uprooted from South Africa. My father's actually Malawian, and we were uprooted from District 6. We had to go to Malawi as children. There's it. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Horn, the younger sister of Elizabeth and our senior sister with the epileptus here at the back. I actually invited myself because Brother David and Sister Maggie received invitations, and toe vra ek vir Safi, nou was my invitation. And that is how we do it on the Cape Flats. So I'm born in Capital, no? Retreat, grew up in Seawinds, moved to Yesterrivier, bought a house in Bayview Strandfontein, work in Nova Park, work in Mitchells Plain. I basically work anywhere where I'm given an opportunity. I've worked abroad, I've been abroad. But today I am in the capacity as a sister that is gatecrash. Also in honoring of my dad, because for a moment het ek vergiet my pa se birthdays vandag. Because we're so busy, you know. And I just want to also just appreciate Safi's work that they are doing, because they are really allowing us an opportunity to reflect in our own homes, who's the people in our own, from our own communities, who's the people that has, affirmed dignity in us. Kan die uncle wees, het kan iemand daar van die straat is. So thank you, Safi, for this initiative.
It's always the uninvited that talk a lot, eh?
Good day, everyone. So my name is Susan September,
And I've been a follower of Safi's work before it came on the map. And I'm really grateful to be part of always a different audience, but the uniqueness of what the moment create for us. So I was born in Raapkraal, and then most of my upbringing was in Retreat. I moved to the northern suburbs for when I realized it was 20 years almost, but I'm back in Retreat and grateful to be here. I'm working with FAMSA, that's doing what they are doing, also in relation to families, but my contribution is the health aspect of community.
Thanks, Susan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Edward Adams. I'm from the Ravensmead area. I was born in Tiervlei. It was called Tiervlei back in the day, but I'm married into Ravensmead now. I'm back. The name changed to Ravensmead.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lulu Kakela. I was born in the Eastern Cape in Amtata. I left Eastern Cape to come here to Cape Town to study at the university, and then I like Cape Town and I decided to work and stay here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Abby. I'm from Walmersbury originally. I moved to Witten in Cape Town, so I know about going to Groenvlei High School and about the apartheid when we had tires burning in the street. I was at school in Groenvlei when that happened. And I moved back to Walmersbury. But yeah, I'm happy and I'm honored to be here today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sharon Boyson. I'm from Johannesburg in Benoni. Yeah, I'm a victim of gender-based violence. Yeah, and I'm glad to be here.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Janine. I was born in Atlantis, but I'm from Mitchell's Plain now.
Good morning, everybody. I am Nikita Reitis. I'm originally from Ashland.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mariska Bothma, original from Somerset West, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Anastasia November. I was born in Oudtshoorn and currently staying with my parents in Delft. I'm a social auxiliary worker working with victims of gender-based violence. I must admit that I was not excited to come. You know, at the end of the year, a lot of work to do, and you know, it's just stressful. But as you explained the purpose of the Mad Indaba, I felt I needed to be here. There's some purpose in this event, and I'm grateful for the invite. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I am Esther Moses, born in a northern Cape, in the Northern Cape, small Karoo town, Phillipstown, but I'm staying in Atlantis since I was 19 years old. And I also pastor a church in Atlantis, doing a lot of community work with the police and with everybody in Atlantis. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tresnai. My surname is Kriha. I was born in Atlantis, and I'm from Atlantis. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Tandazi Swamkanda, and I'm born and bred in Kailicha. Yes, and I'm happy to be here today. That's about it. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pumelele Msweli. I'm a sign language interpreter, and for Safi, she's my co-interpreter. I'm from Kailicha, originally from one province with a name and a surname that is called KwaZulu Natal. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. That's it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hi, my name is Dion Hans. I am originally from Komga in the Eastern Cape. That's where I was born.
Mhm.
But we were gypsies, so we moved from town to town because of my grandfather's work and then my father's work, Free State, Cape Town, Uppington, Eastern, back to the Eastern Cape, and for the last, I think 30 years, my age. I think 30 years, my age. 20 years we've been in Cape Town. Moved to the where's the Malmesbury lady? Yeah. Moved to stay there for 3 years.
And you will see we have Dion and Claire. They are SAN scribers. That's the organization is called SAN Scribe, right? So he will talk a little bit about that, maybe even in the course of the week. But I want him to just remind us through the images that he did last year, what were some of the things that we covered in last year's Indaba. Ashwin will talk a little bit about the work, the journey. And then what we will do is we will see a video of one of the men that is in the MAD exhibition. Edward will accompany us with some song. Then I want to do something really important, and we put it on the program as an academic presentation, which is really important because we need to take ourselves seriously, and we are the ones that will decide how that is. And so Dr. Fungai will do a short presentation to just locate something about the humanity of the catalyst. So she'll do that, and then we will light a candle, memorial candle, just in memory and honoring my dad, Daniel Horn. And then we'll see by then whether Earl Erasmus will be here. He will then talk to us a little bit about rites of passage as a concept and why that is important for us, just to bring mindfulness into that. Then we want to do lunch, and just after lunch, or maybe we'll need to just figure out the time, when we get there. But the next part is really important. We will then all go to the Grote Kerk and the Slave Lodge, because this is a pilgrimage. You hear the word, we use pilgrimage. So don't worry, for those who don't have transport, we will, I've got a 7-seater. I know you've got the vehicle here, so, but we will just get into, the cars so that we can go. It's just here in the CBD, because all of this is about looking back so that we can move forward. So we need to understand something about our history as we move forward. Okay, and then after we've visited those heritage sites, from there you can then be released. So there will be a lot obviously to process and to reflect on, for the rest of the day. But then tomorrow morning we will reconvene here in the same space. And then we will reflect, and then we will focus on naming and framing colored African identity. So then we will be talking a little bit more about this colored identity, really go into that some more. And then we will, also tomorrow, we will have the sacred conversations in the morning, and then also up until lunchtime, and then we will go to the castle. There's a museum, the Kamisa Museum. So we will then go, because again, that will really help us to understand all these different colored African identities, that we are working with or live with. Maybe most of it we don't understand because this is confused. That was the whole point. We were made to be confused, but we will reclaim knowledge so that we understand ourselves better. And so today, again tomorrow, then after the being at the castle, having engaged the museums, we will go home, reflect. Elke dag moet julle seker shower, because there's things sometimes when we've been through deep processes, then sometimes you need to just wash it off, as part of your own self-care, process. And then we will come back on Thursday, and there we will have a lot more kind of conversation. We'll hear, I think one of the men, will he be here on Thursday or tomorrow? Anyway, but we'll hear also about the story of one of the other men in the exhibition, so we'll have some of that. And then on Friday we will continue conversation, but then we will be having one of our artists, Jits Vinger. So he will come and we will have some music, in terms of just bringing everything together and celebrating. So hopefully on Friday we want to leave earlier than, but it alles depend op wat hier gaan gebeur. Good, Auntie Maggie, why are you pulling your face like that? You think I talk usually too much? But anyway. Okay. But anyway, so we just wanted to give you like an overview of this is what is to be expected. Please take responsibility for your self-care. We're not here to expose anything, and nobody's forced to share. But it was already amazing actually just listening to who is in the room, the places that's in the room. So I'm going to now hand over to Ashwin. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So just also, my name is Ashwin Duploy again. I am born in Bontiville. Born and bred in Bontiville, now living in Elsie's River. Thank you. Now you also know where I am from. We're just going to have Dion quickly do his presentation, and then afterwards I'll go on to him.
You can, yeah. Just to, yeah, I'll sit this side. Can you see?
Yeah, with my glasses I can't. Hi again, I'm Dion. So just a quick background. Myself and my life partner and my business partner started the Sandscribe 3 years ago. So we literally 3 years old now. And ironically, it was also born out of very traumatic experiences for us. And I guess it's a testament, how you can, if you use the word trauma and replace it with triumph, I think that's our story, that you can turn, the saying, take lemons and make lemonade or something. So that's our story, and we feel that's how we align so much with this amazing work that Dr. Elizabeth is doing. It's truly incredible. And for us, of all the jobs we've done so far, you can feel the sacredness of the event, and I think it's got a lot to do with the intention with which they plan, and even though sometimes things are planned last minute, but I think a lot of prayer goes into what you're doing. And so what we wanted to do, so we are visual storytellers, so we literally take your words and the dialogue. You must just signal me if my time is finished. Yeah. So what we wanted to do last year, you'll see on the left here is the Slave Lodge. That's where the journey began. And there was a bit of a ceremony to open up the space spiritually, and the burning of Mpepu, and words spoken and communicated, ancestral communication, just to honor the space, because like Dr. Elizabeth said, places have importance, and you can actually feel the trauma of that space when you're there. I don't know, it's actually amazing. So that's where the journey began, and you will see that as the smoke goes up, right on top is Elizabeth's father, and some of his quotes: "Who are you as a man and a father? Who are you as a woman and a mother?" And I think that was one of the philosophies that he taught, for you to think deeply about your role. Even though you're not Nelson Mandela or Desmond Tutu, you are a mother and a father, and that one life, that could be the next leader or role model. And then we've got, for every day we add a different a nature symbol, like the tree, representing the tree of life. And then we add every day an animal. And what we wanted to show by that on day one was the attributes of that animal that we can embody and you can embody in the work that you do, whether it's in the community or it's in your household or it's just in your street, just in your corner of the world, how this event, Men Affirming Dignity, how you can embody, what we were hearing. And yeah, we can go to the next slide. So as you can see, day 2 was about listening and learning. And you can see Edward there playing We Are a Family. Edward is a celebrity. And what was very interesting to me is the diversity. I mean, you have Christianity, you have Islam, you have all these different religions. And for me, that was so beautiful. And I wanted to depict that, in the community. You can see the Cape Flats, you see the mosque, you see the school, all these places of learning in our communities, and you see the footsteps and some of the stories there where you see it leading, and there's a church and there's a taking of hands. And I forgot what the Springbok embodied. But if I suppose agility and speed, how does that play out in your life? What you need to do, you need to be quick. You need to always be vigilant, because there's always predators. So you have to be, you can't, like Dr. Elizabeth said, skrikwakker. Otherwise, you will be eaten. If you try and do good in this world, the opposition to that intention is incredible. So you need to be fit for whatever task, whatever mission. It's never smooth sailing. So yeah, we can. Yeah, you wanna go back? Oh, I'm gonna say. So that you will see. I don't know if on the app this is but when you go through it, you will see the stories and as you read it and each person's contribution to the event. So yeah, we can go to the next one. This one, we just wanted to use the color blue because this was a day of healing and blue is the color for healing. So we didn't want to introduce other colors except maybe the red over there. And it was a very watery day. There was a lot of crying and it was very emotional. And like Dr. Elizabeth was saying, it was draining. It was emotionally draining. And then on top of it, Edward is playing this music that make people. And the animal we had on that day, you will see it appear in different places, but it represents toughness, resilience, never give up, tenacity. Ik weet nog niet wat. So a badger, a ratel, in Afrikaans. So that badger represents that, and those are the qualities, with a visual story we wanted people to walk away with and learn from. And you'll see that there's also a lot of cross bridges where people transition from one place, from healing. After healing, there's transformation. And it's like an initiation. In order to be a healer for other people, whatever form the healing takes, you first have to be broken yourself and mend. And now with that, because then you have compassion. If, like somebody was saying, you were a victim. And often those are the healers, if you've gone through it yourself. And so this was what this day was all about. And it was, I never cry at client events, but that day I had to hide behind the board. We were cutting onions. And the interesting thing was also about forgiveness, past forgiveness. And I think this event definitely embodies that as well, and that's the spirit of what's in here. And then I think the last one, yes. So on this day, we didn't have an animal, but we had this beautiful flower. And what is it called again? Because it was mentioned by one of the speakers. And I forgot the name of this. Is it the agapanthus? And I forgot what it represents. But it is something delicate. It is something that only you will only find, I think, in Africa or in our region of the world. So it talks about uniqueness. But something, you can see the ground. It looks cracked. It's a very hard ground and the rose. And it just gives you an idea, and just some of the sentiments is, everything we do is pray, that was a theme, and hold on to the beauty inside of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ashwin? Yeah, so that gives you a sense of what last year's Indaba was about.
One of my quotes was up there also. I was last year there. Yeah. So last year I was a visitor to the to Safi. This year, was het ek vandag. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is my presentation. I'll be speaking about where the work of MAD has been taking place in the Menefa, or as I would call it. I also had that very same approach when I was introduced to MAD. I was working at the City of Cape Town as the Community Liaison Officer for a EPWP program called Men Empowerment. And so then we, as the men of Bontival, 7 men of Bontival, went to go and do a presentation with the Bontival walking ladies. And after when we were done, Auntie Soraya Sali came and she's like, Ashwin, I want to introduce you to people. And I'm like, wie? It's like, MAD. Soraya, you can't introduce MAD to more mad people. It's not medically all right. And so then she introduced us. And long story kort, kyk, waar is dit mal nou? So you can go to the next one, Roderick. Thank you. So the MAD, or the Men in Affirming Dignity Initiative, has been and is currently and will continue to be across our range of communities, serving as a powerful initiative and also a space or initiative that creates and sparks conversation. We don't use the term or the reference point training and workshop. We call it a sacred conversation because we understand that everyone in the room's voice matters, and it's not just the facilitator who knows it all. No, we don't come with the know it all mentality. We come with that you have something that I can also learn from. So in the communities we've been in Atlantis, in Johannesburg, at Chrysalis Academy, in the Oudtshoorn area, Elsie's River, Bontival, and Lavender Hill. You can go to the next one, sir. So the first area we've been and where the MAD initiative really, or the MAD pilot really took off, where it sparked, was in the Atlantis community, played a very, very vital role in the work of MAD. And here you will see the launch of the MAD work and also the exhibition at the Westphalia Library. We have Katie Roman there in the far corner with the grey and the grey jacket and the light grey. Nah? There's Auntie Katie. She was also part of Safi for a very long time, and then Bramwell, Joseph there in the corner, and Edward. And these were the three that really also ran with the initiative of MAD. And I think Dr. Elizabeth knows in everything that I always do, I always say, I didn't come and create something new. I built on a foundation that was already built by those who were there. And so I always honor these three people in the work that they did. And they made it easier for me to take what I'm doing now. So this was at the Westphalia Library when they launched the exhibition. There at the far right hand, you have Pastor Patrick Pickering, one of the men that is also in the exhibition of the MAD. Can you go to the next one? Thank you. And then here we have the Atlantis again. You're going to see a lot of Atlantis. Here they had the sacred conversation with senior citizens, also at, I think, 3 schools, if I'm correct. 4 schools in the Atlantis area. Yeah, at the bottom we have there, then we also have them in there at the top. In the far end, you would see them engaging with the youngsters in the schools. And so it was really also about touching young people's lives and allowing them to heal with their relationship of father and son, and also the relationship not just with father and son, but also with men in their community. And also looking at what do they see when they do look at the colored man or the colored African man. And so also one of the things that the MAD initiative does is it speaks back to the narrative of what was written into history about colored men. Because if you Google, then you'll just see the first thing. If you Google colored men, you'll see. Yeah. So here we go. The next one, thank you, sir. So here the MAD team then also took the work to the holiday club and allowed gauging, and from here they did poetry, musical arts, and because we realize our young people, and not just our young people, but our people, our colored African people, we are very, very artistic and we are gifted in many giftings. And so we created the space for these gifts to come through, even from youngsters. There you'll see them, and you see our people, we love fruit, apples and pere, tomati merum. You would see we love it, and so there we have our youngsters engaging with that. You can go to the next one. This is also in Atlantis. I don't know why it's not clear here on, but this is when they were at the Atlantis. I'm gonna go to the back now. My neck, yeah, yeah. So here you have the Atlantis area. There's Pastor Hester, them doing the radio presentation, and then also we have it in the schools once again. Next one. And then they also then went and did the MAD pilot project in the Lavendale area. This was with Lavendale High, the high school that Dr. Elizabeth attended when she was younger, and she transcended from there. And so, yeah. So then they took the work back to the Lavendale area. And then also it was not just done in the Lavendale High School, but also with the sports coaches. It was done. And then the work was taken to the Oudtshoorn area. And here in the picture, you will find 3 different things taking place. It was the training with the Oudtshoorn librarians, and then also the opening of the MAD exhibition in the Oudtshoorn area. So the first 4 pictures, you will find the training that Reverend Zooks, our chairperson of our board, took, and with himself and Dr. Elizabeth took the training and did it with the librarians, who are still currently running the MAD initiative program in the Oudtshoorn area. Currently, the exhibition is finding itself in the Duiselsdorp library, and yeah, they will be having their activities where the MAD initiative then also will be as a key area in the library. One of the things that the Oudtshoorn library has been done, and that's the Rose Valley Library, they made it part of every work and activity that they did in the community. They did a MAD drive where they had pamphlets out, invited not just men, but men and women and youngsters to come and be part of the MAD Sacred Conversations. Next one. Here is one. Here's the proof is in the pudding. Oh, that's okay. Okay, so here you will see that it was with the opening and the launch of the netball in the netball court in the Rose Valley Library. They made the MAD exhibition part of the opening and had the community engage with it. Here in the far left area, you would find the exhibition. It was in a Black African community in the Oudtshoorn area. This is where this happened now very recently, from the 22nd to the 25th of September in Johannesburg. This was the ADAPT. It's also a gender-based violence organization that is based in the Alexander community, and their director Irene Kumalo and the men there that they work with is Sidwell, Onke, and Peter. Those are the three men that head up the men's program in the Alexander. And I went to go and have a 4-day sacred conversation with 15 African men. And what was very unique about this 4-day sacred conversation is that for the 24th was Bride Day. It was Heritage Day. And so we were a bit worried, are the men really going to show up? Because we're like, oh, it's Bride Day, forget, you're going to not make it here. And the men actually, out of their own said, but hey, Ashwin, tomorrow is Bride Day. And so what are we going to do? Are we going to braai? I said, no, braai. We're going to have conversation. And all 15 men showed up that day. We had it from 9 o'clock till 1 o'clock. And on that day, one of the men said that he's actually after this going to go and spend time with his daughter, because one of the topics that we were speaking about was about showing up and being present. And he actually publicly admitted that day that he will go and spend time with his daughter. Here you would see another of the work that we did there with these men in the ADAPT area. Don't worry about my face there. That's my serious face. This is when we were at the Chrysalis Academy. And from the Chrysalis Academy, our very first encounter with Chrysalis Academy was that when we went to sit down with the Youth Hub ambassador component. And these are 14 ambassadors that works in all the high crime areas of the Western Cape, and they run programs for the community. And so we went to sit down and say, listen, we understand that the MAD initiative can be a very reasonable and a good resource for the work that you're doing. We did a 5-day sacred conversation with them and also training with them, where here you'll see in the far left, those are the ambassadors that we worked with. Myself, Dr. Elizabeth, and Edward. Also, what was very great about this is that we had Dr. Solomon from Ethiopia. He came to visit us. With Dr. Elizabeth brought him, and he came to and visit us at the academy, because myself and Edward were staying there. And so he came to visit us. And then we had Earl Mentor there in the far corner. He's the same guy sitting here in the room. It's not his twin. It's the same guy from Peace Jam, South Africa, the director. And then he also came to pop in and was really touched by the work. On the far side there, I think this was with the family day that recent happened, 25 Bravo, where 270 females are currently on course, and they had their families come in and visit, and the academy saw that this is a perfect day for the exhibition to be showcased and also for the families to engage with it. On the far right side, you have Ms. Janine Turner, who is currently the CEO of the academy. I'm not going to speak much, but can you press play there quickly and then you just fast forward. This is a choir of 316 men, fathers and sons singing the MAD song, and I'm the choir conductor. 1, 2, 3, here we go. Men, affirming dignity, a shining light in our community, a strong brother to our family. Men, affirming dignity. Here we go, men. I know I have a nice voice, thank you. Then we have Lavender Hill Community. This is with the sports coaches where they had the sacred conversation and encounter with them at the Slave Lodge. That, for those that don't know, that was the exhibition at the Slave Lodge where we were until the 5th of July when we had our closing ceremony at the Slave Lodge in town. This was in Bontiville. This is where the work started, where I was introduced to the Men Affirming Dignity initiative. And here we had a 2-day sacred conversation with the men of Bontiville. And out of this group, one of the men, Clint Venter, started a men's group in Bontiville, which is still currently running as a youth. Then the work went to the Elsie's River area, where I currently stay. Here we were on Inspire Elsie's Radio, where we did a 3-hour radio interview with Apostle Brenda and Miranda and Belinda. And they encountered us. And so we currently, to date, I went to go and check this morning, there's 375 views on this interview. Oh, that's famous. And then the Calvary, Elsie's River Calvary Baptist Mission. This is where we, about 3 weeks ago, where we took the MAD initiative and the exhibition with one of the young men that was doing a 3-day internship. A grade 10 learner from Fairbairn College who was doing a 3-day internship with Safi. And this very church where we took the exhibition to, because we are busy having sacred conversations with the community, the exhibition as a healing for what's happening in the Eureka area. This is actually the very church that his grandfather built in Eureka. And then on the far right, you would see that is the current apostle of the church, Apostle Brian Shives, who also very uniquely, his birthday is also today. And then you have the MAD app, and then the MAD song. Thank you very much.
Edward, you can just say how the song came about, actually.
We went into the schools with the MAD exhibition, and what we did, we asked the learners to write about their male figure in their lives. And they came back with the stories of fathers, uncles, and I just added some music to their stories. I had the chorus part, but they wrote the verses. So we took the verses into the schools, and the learners came up with the verses. So they wrote about so it came out very, very nice. We need to record that song. We need to really record the song. But we're just going to do the chorus quickly. Men affirming dignity, shining light. Must I do it lower? Men affirming dignity. Men affirming dignity, shining light in our community, a strong pillar to our families. Men affirming dignity, men shining light in our community, a strong pillar to our families. Men affirming dignity, men affirming dignity, a shining light in our community, a strong pillar to our families. Men affirming dignity. One more time, say, men affirming dignity, a shining light in our communities, a strong pillar to our families. Men affirming dignity, a strong pillar to our families. Men affirming dignity.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward. Please take your seats. We will now. Huh? Okay, let's do the candle while Dr. Fungai gets herself ready to present. I'm gonna ask my younger sister who is here to just assist us with the. We can't light the candle, but she'll talk.
You see, that's why I invite myself, because she uses me also in that. So it's a win-win situation. So allow me just to share a memorial piece or a moment of silence. As we pause today to remember Daniel Horn, the catalyst of the Men Affirming Dignity Indaba, and a man whose strength, wisdom, and compassion ignited conversations that restored honor, affirmed identity, and uplifted generations. Although it's 3 years since he has passed, he was 84 when he passed on. So even though it's 3 years since his passing, his legacy continues to breathe through us. Ons is 9 kinders. We are 9 children. I'm the second youngest. And my mom has passed on 18 years ago. So they live on through us. And in every act of kindness, in every word of dignity spoken, and in every man who chooses integrity and grace, my dad lived with me just before he passed on. So we had a year, almost 2 years together just before he passed on. And because I'm a social worker by profession and you're very passionate in helping people, ek het altyd op my petje geklim. I was very on edge, you know, and my dad would say, kalmte, you know. You don't take things personal. Kalmte. And remember, you are working with God's people. And obviously, at the time, ek verstaan niks. Ek is op my pet. I'm just riding my horse. But when I reflect, even just this 3 years, there is a peace that I cannot describe. It was modeled to me. My dad was a very calm, peaceful person. When Elizabeth speaks of him, and I did not know the depth of what he went through. And it was at Safi's, one of Safi's AGMs, I got to hear or see his interview and how he was describing his experience through apartheid. I was just shattered. Never did I hear or witness him. He did not tell us to, you must stand up and you must fight back. And nee, you remain, you must be calm. You need to control yourself. And only now that peace is making sense. You know, that inner peace that restores dignity. So we give thanks for his life and the example he has set. May his spirit rest in eternal peace, and may his vision for dignity among men live on. I think my son also mentioned he's one of the angels now, you know, that we read about in the psalm. May the angels of God guide and protect you. So he has transformed. Thank you.
With your love, now I am alive. It's when you found me, took my.
Truly, if God didn't give us even the gift of song, if God didn't give us the gift of laughter, and hoeveel van ons people think that things are going well with you because you are laughing the whole time. You know, if God didn't give us the gift of laughter, if He didn't give us the gift of dance, if He did not give us the gift of art to just find a way to express ourselves, we really don't know where we would have been. And so we do give thanks to God for the gift of life. And then examples. Some of us tend to struggle sometimes with our own people, our elders, because sometimes we feel like, why did they not do certain things? Why did they not stand up? Why did they not? And sometimes we have no clue what they had to just let go, because they had to decide in this moment, is it going to be me showing my power, or am I going to be a parent to my son, to my child? And so there's a lot that we've experienced, but we give thanks for the ability to have spirit, to be moved by the Spirit to create some things, songs, music, poetry. And now some of us also have found the grace to be educated. Because you see, in African understanding, your education means nothing if the circumstances around you is not bettered because you are educated. So if I'm only educated and I just sit with my degrees and my whatever, and ek dink ek is bitter, then I'm useless. Through God's grace, because most of us know that most of us were not allowed to study, right? And those who have found the grace to go and study, we have a sacred responsibility to change things around. And so it is on that note that we also believe that we're not going to stay on the margins. You know how people tend to refer to us, colored people on the Cape Flats, black people on the townships. We are referred to as the marginalized. So we are here to put ourselves in the center, not just amongst ourselves, because sometimes we know how to put ourselves in the center amongst ourselves. But we are intentional about putting ourselves in the center in the academic world, right? And so it is on that note that I'm asking Dr. Fungai to come, and you've heard she's a doctorate. She did her studies, so it's an academic assessment, analysis. We're not just, dis is nie gedagtetjies wat ons het nie. We're not here just to say, yeah, ons is ook hier nie. No. We are saying, as a people, as African people, as colored African people, we are making significant contribution to civilization. I have an issue with that word, but anyway, they came and they said some of us must be civilized. And they say some of us have not contributed to human civilization. But we are here to put ourselves in the center, academically as well. And to say we are here, we have been here. Our ancestors, our uncles, what's it? Grandparents, great-grandparents have been here. They've done a lot. And so we will just contribute this piece through the MAD initiative. Dr. Fungai.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth. So today I'm going to be speaking about Papa Daniel's own story, extracting lessons of humanity, his humanness. So it was quite interesting as I was preparing this presentation that I was also becoming intentional. You know, in the academic space, when you're talking about someone, you talk about them with their first name. You'd rather say Daniel Swoon. That's a Eurocentric understanding. So I then realized that I don't need to locate myself within that Eurocentric understanding, but rather I could think of this as Papa, because it's someone that is elderly, someone that is fatherly. So that's someone that we need to be intentional also about in terms of the European way of systems or European education. It is quite interesting that SAFI as an organization is becoming intentional about normalizing indigenous knowledge. So normalizing or putting the indigenous resources, indigenous cultural resources at the center of analysis or thinking about our stories from an African perspective rather being imbued with the European understanding. So in a way we can see how SAFI challenges oppression and the dehumanization through education. It is quite interesting that education was also used to dehumanize people, but what SAF is trying to do is more of a reverse, still using education, but now to rehumanize or to affirm the dignity of people. But in terms of what I'm going to be focusing about today, it is the story of Papa Daniel Hoon, who was the catalyst of the MAD program, as you've heard. It is his way that he embraced humanity that actually made this initiative to come about. So actually also I'm continuing with my analysis because I'm a scholar. As I was listening to JK, as I was listening to Auntie Susan, I could actually say that now this is the data that is interpreting its own self. Their presence today actually talks to the humanity of Papa Hoon. If he was not a good father or a present father, they wouldn't have been present. Okay, I'll proceed. Okay, technology. All right. Did I get it? All right. I'm actually wanting to go to the next slide. All right. So I'm just going to give you an overview of my presentation. So what I'm trying to do first is to try and give the historical background that Papa Hoon is coming from. So I'll talk about the background of the apartheid era, as well as the Cape Flats context that he also groomed his family. I'm sure we've heard from our sisters here, the context that they were coming from. Then I'll move into Papa Daniel's own story. For those who haven't engaged with the story, I also encourage you that you engage with the story through the MAD app, as he's also speaking about his life so that you understand more. What I'm going to do here for the purposes of the presentation is just to summarize some of the aspects that he covered in his story. Then I'll move on to the theoretical framework. Don't worry about that. I'm going to unpack that. But when we're talking about theory in the academic space, it's just a lens that we just use to understand the worldview, a lens that we use to understand humanity. Maybe to unpack it, I wear spectacles, right? So if I'm to borrow Auntie Susan's spectacles and put them on, the way I see reality becomes different. Sometimes I might see things blurry. So the same with the theories. So the theory that we use to interpret data or to interpret information is the one that helps us. So you see that Papa Hoon's story can actually be used by Eurocentric lenses, and they can extract other themes, but I'm going to be intentional to interpret this story using the Afrocentricity lens. All right, then I'll move on to the themes that I've extracted using this African perspective or theoretical frameworks. Then I'll conclude. All right, got it now. So talking about the background of the apartheid era, I might not be the best person to speak about it because I didn't really live it because I'm from a different country. But just to give a bit of perspective about the apartheid era, it was a system of racial segregation and oppression in South Africa, where black South Africans were denied the basic rights, they were homeless, and they were restricted in their movement alongside, and you were beaten. You were beaten. Our one quote again, as a brown person, really, you weren't really considered. It didn't matter who you are. A white man is just a white man. If you are small or big, you're just boss. And I decided that as far as possible, I'll just stay out of the way. I'll pick another quote again. Even if the white man was wrong, the white man would tell you what you did and what you know. And this man is telling the truth. You can't tell them the boss is not telling the truth. People are still just people. If someone does something bad to you, you feel unhappy and you know there's something you cannot do, then you must just be calm yourself down and control yourself. Because these things is going to cause a big thing. Then you must just be quiet. Keeping quiet was always the better answer that worked for me. So again, today I learned something that is very interesting. You know, as a scholar, as an academic, there's this emphasis that when you're getting into the study, you bracket yourself, you pull back. I'm sure for those who have done research. But I then realized that, again, these are Eurocentric perspective of saying when you're studying, people bracket yourself, don't be involved, don't immense when you're emotional beings. I actually realized that in as much as I'm a scholar, I'm also human. So some of these stories, they also sit with me despite being a researcher. All right, I'll continue. So looking at Papa Daniel Swoon's story in terms of work life, he began working early at the age of 18, and he moved to Cape Town to seek opportunities. He learned the value of hard work, responsibility, and independence. He observes older men as role models for diligence, contribution to the house, and responsibility. Looking at his life in the church or faith involvement, he provided moral guidance and community support, but often realized that it often limited practical help, and then he started on engaging with this practical aspect of it, providing assistance to the widows. Papa combined spiritual guidance and practical assistance to families, rather than not only being theoretical, but also becoming practical in his faith. He also engaged in home visit and pastoral conversation to help solve real-life problems. Like I mentioned, he also encouraged the support of widows, a ministry that he did together with his wife. Now I'm going to move to the family life. Papa was married to Mary Lindman in the 1970s and had 9 children, and they settled in the Cape Flats. When you look at his life, you see that he was respectful in terms of the communication and conflict resolution at home, and he avoided violence. He held family meetings to discuss issues, ask for forgiveness, and restore harmony. He emphasized responsibility, presence, and care for children, and he also emphasized family reunions. So now that we have this story, what are we going to do with this story? What we're going to be doing with this story is to try and understand or locate it from an African worldview or from an African perspective. Like I've said earlier, that a theory is just a lens that helps us to see reality. So rather than being deeply imbued or deeply embedded in these Eurocentric theories that helps us to see things otherwise, we're trying to be intentional as African scholars also to think about theories that emerge from within the context. So in this sense, We chose the Afrocentricity and the Ubuntu framework in Safi to analyze the stories of these men. So when I'm talking about Afrocentricity, it's just a worldview that centers African voices and African experiences in interpreting history and knowledge. This theory was founded or propounded by a scholar by the name Molefi Asante around 2001. And its assumption is that Africans possess ways of knowing and ways of being, and these must be the starting point for studying African life, histories, and morality, rather than studying them using the theories or the perspective coming from the West, because of how our worldviews are different. So when you look at the African worldview and the European worldview, you'd see that the way they perceive reality is different. Hence, for us to understand these things, we need to study it using theories that are cultured or that are groomed within the African context. So in a way, it challenges the Eurocentric interpretations and the marginalization of African voices. Again, this is tied to colonialism and apartheid. So systems of colonialism have tried to dehumanize as well as to put the voices of the Africans at the periphery. But what the African theories are doing is to try and take those voices that were put at the periphery or the back by the Europeans to the center. All right, so apart from that, there's another also lens that I'm gonna be using, which is the Ubuntu. I'm sure most of us are familiar with this relational ethics within the African context, which is called Ubuntu, or the principle of being a human. So there's this quote within the African setup which says, Umuntu ngubuntu ngabanu, which means that a person is a person through other people. So it is quite interesting that the word Ubuntu, it is something to do with humanness. I'm sure now when we're talking about a person, we say munu, meaning it's coming from that whole concept of humanity or humanness. So it's also another lens that we interpret the actions and the values of the African people. So these theories, the Afrocentricity and the Ubuntu theories, they are gonna help us to recenter Danya Soon's story in African knowledge and moral wisdom, showing his agency and his resilience. So, like I mentioned earlier, that, you know, this story of Papa Daniel Woon could be taken by those from the Eurocentric perspective. Maybe they'll be thinking about his presence in the family as something that is exceptional. But when you're thinking about it from the African perspective, you can see it as a story where someone is just expressing his humanity or his ability to be human. All right, so now this is the analysis which is ongoing. So as we continue to engage and to read, every time I go through this story, I continue to pick new themes and more themes. So that's quite interesting with academic analysis. The more you read and engage, you continue to come up with a number of themes. Like we mentioned earlier when I was reading those quotes from Papa Hoon, we could actually see that the themes that are emerging from his story of humanness is how he was able to express humanity by being calm and this whole idea of keeping quiet. You know, the general narrative that we know that when someone is provoked, they need to react and they need to act. But in a way, we see him presenting a humanity of being calm and the humanity of keeping quiet rather than reiterating with violence. Even though Papa grew up within this context of apartheid, which was dehumanizing, he has this whole idea of emphasizing his moral self-control, also moving on to the children, teaching his children respect and calmness is inner strength. So you see that his humanity under the pressure of apartheid reveals how dignity can survive even within these systems designed to break it. I think earlier on our scribe has mentioned this whole idea of turning lemon to lemonade. In as much as the context was violent, he actually did not lose his humanity within that context, but rather he embraced his humanity. So these are some of the themes that we are picking, that he expressed everyday humanity, even under apartheid, which was very oppressive. So while these systems of apartheid have turned some men into violent men, men like Papa Hoon continued to practice self-control. Again, with the MAD initiative, you'd see that many men who are like our father continue to practice self-control and express or hold the space of being human, even in the context like the Cape Flats, which is imbued with a lot of problems. Then I'm going to move again to talk about his humanity. So these are like sub-themes that I've come up with. We need to talk about his humanity also in the home. Reading Papa's story, I picked that there was this whole idea of partnership in marriage, which again shows his humanity of recognizing a woman as a partner rather than someone who must always submit to the man, but rather a co-worker or a co-partner. Again, these are aspects of humanity that we are picking from Papa. Even in the context of the Cape Flats where there was gender-based violence, he never raised the finger on the wife. Moving on, another theme that we picked in terms of humanity in the home is encouraging children to come together. Like I said that Safi was one of my case studies. I continuously analyze the aspects within Safi, particularly Dr. Elizabeth's life. So I think on the 24th of September, I actually picked something on Facebook where he posted when at the mini conference with the siblings. I think I would want to just read that. All right, so this is the post. It says the family that they were coming from. So again, when you see the children coming together, it can tell you where they are coming from and what they learned. All right. So there's this whole idea also following the life of Dr. Elizabeth. I've always seen her post a number of pictures where they're having family reunions. Sometimes they're at the beach. Again, these are some aspects of humanity that I can actually say I could pick that is emanating from Papa Hoon now transferring to the family. And from the story of Papa Hoon, I also picked this whole idea of present fatherhood, being emotionally and physically available for the children. He chose to be a present man and responsible father despite the legacies of absent fathers within the context of apartheid. Then also within the story, I also picked the theme of listening to children as full human beings. So there's this whole idea that some parents, they, instead of being calm and understanding and having dialogue and engaging with dialogue with the children, they perpetuate harsh discipline. But also reading through the story more closely, I could actually pick this whole idea of listening to children as full human beings. So he's asserting his humanity by acknowledging the humanity that is within the children. Also this humanity and recognition of shared humanity, asking for forgiveness from children as well. All right, so I also analyzed his humanity in the community. Like I said, he had this a ministry of caring for the widow together with the wife, which is more or less like an ethic of care. Again, that is humanity or Ubuntu. Understanding that we live in a communalistic societies, you're not only concerned with your individual family, but the community at large. Because in the African context, they say, I am because you are. I am because I belong. All right. Then lastly, another theme that I picked was a healing as an expression of humanity. While there's this whole idea that, toxic masculinities or this African notion that men cannot cry, or this way of socialization that men cannot show emotion, I found it interesting when I was going through the story that Papa Daniel openly wept and sought help when his wife died, showing that masculinity or being a man include emotional vulnerability. So again, this was an expression of humanity, to understand that to show grief or to show emotion as a man is being human, rather than this whole notion of saying you need to be strong and you do not need to cry. Also, there was a quote that I picked. One of the daughters, I don't know which one here, said, "Papa, you need counseling." And he listened. So this whole idea of listening to the children is an expression. Themes, when you look at them coming from Papa Daniel, we can see that his life is an archive of African moral wisdom. The values we see in his story resonate deeply with the African philosophy of being human. So by doing this, Papa Hoon was just showing his humanity, not being a hero per se, but showing his humanity or expressing his nature of being human. So a closer reading of our father's story will allow us to extract even more themes. So the more I continue to engage with this story, the more I'm going to pick a number of themes of being a human. So it allows us to see the African moral imagination and the redefinition of manhood. Remember, we said there's this definition of manhood that was coming from a Eurocentric perspective that African men are violent, African men are toxic. But a closer reading of stories like this will help us to extract that there are men within the African context who affirm dignity. There are men within the African context who express humanness. So in the same way, I'm going to be engaging with other 13 men in the Men Affirming Dignity exhibition who also open up space to further discern the expression of the everyday humanity within these men. So these narratives from the exhibition unfold testimonies that being a man in post-apartheid South Africa can mean choosing gentleness, accountability, and community responsibility.
Ja, ik heb gewonder, I wonder, yes, lovely. How are you doing? Wonderful. Everybody knows my name, I don't know your name. So maybe I can just ask a few of your names before we start, but I also want to just give praise to our ancestor. A very present reality. As Dr. Fungai calls him Papa Horn, we recognize him in this space, his solemn presence, and we give praise for the legacy that he has left for us. We honor the lineage through which he came, his mother and father. We give praise to them. And we recognize that his greatness is solely situated in those through whom he came. That nothing could have been without them. And so, Papa Horn, we love you, we appreciate you, we recognize you. Thank you that we can stand on your shoulders. And thank you for your daughters and son who's also in spirit, but some are really present here. And so we are honored. But there are also other people that we must recognize. Your mother and father. Each one of you, you came through somebody. And so I want to recognize your mother and father. Every morning when you get up, whether they are alive or whether they are transitioned and in the spirit, you have to say to them, I honor you, Mom and Dad. I give praise to you. Because if it wasn't for you, I would not have been here. Are you thankful for your mother and father? Now, I know some of you might have issues with your mom and dad because they were rough. Well, I was rough. Earlier on, I told a story. My mom had 3 weapons. 3 weapons. That's besides the weapons in the kitchen. That was her artillery, her armory, the kitchen. But she had 3 weapons. Number 1 was a sjambok. For those of you who know, I have to say this, the only way I can say it is the Afrikaans way. She had a beerspil. That is not swearing. It was that sjambok that looked like something, but that is what they call it. I'm from the Eastern Cape. You guys are from Cape Town. You speak nice English in Africa. Oh, I saw you at Johannesburg. What? Yes.
But that was her first. That one was nice. It was flexible. When it hit you, it goes around the body, you know. And then she had another one that she made. Now she had a stick, and there was a pipe over the stick, and she twisted it. That's a second weapon. A third weapon. When all else failed, because you know when you grow up, you can grab. Yeah. When you grab, Ash, come here. When you grab it. So this is the shambok. You grab it. The next one is the first. Those were her three weapons. There was not weapons of mass destruction. It was weapons of memory awakening. When you had those, I promise you, you're going to sit somewhere and think through your tears. You can, Elizabeth might take my mother to these polices and stuff and say, abuse. But for them, it was just reminding you. Hey, just reminding you. Yes, you got to focus, Buddha. Keep in line. Keep in line. And today, Dr. Fungai said, yes, now we have a different language. And like me, the more we have a different language, the more they ruffle it. I'm not saying become violent. But I'm saying to you that you got to become ferocious in understanding the things that we deal with. What are we dealing with? What is present in your house? What is present in your community? What is present at your work? In the park where your children play? What is present there? You have to grasp that. Because if you don't know what is present, you won't know how to sort it out. You won't know what three weapons you need to use. You got to think about your three weapons. So that is by way of introducing me. I'm a guy that carry weapons. Yeah. But now I've learned to carry the weapon of the heart. Yes. Beautiful weapon. The heart. To be vulnerable. And yet to be powerful. I can cry. But try me. Try me. I can weep and grieve for the sins of my fathers. I can cry because of the pain that everything that I struggled and suffered with. But I can also stand tall and proud because some measure of healing has come into my heart. And so I want to really just invite you today that you make time as you go to lunch, that you make time for your heart. Don't just eat to finish. Eat. Dr. Fungai said it. You got to be awake. Eat with awakeness and taste the food. Taste what you eat. And if at any stage you taste something that is unhealthy, stop it. I'm not talking about the greens. You must eat the greens. You got to eat it. But everything that is unhealthy, you got to be cautious. You got to be cautious. And so the heart that has been wounded needs healing. And part of what I'd like for you to journey with today is the wound of Cape Town. The woundedness of Cape Town. The heart of Cape Town that is bleeding the heart of Cape Town that is embodied with pain. I'd like to invite you to that space. And we're going to go to two places. One is the Grote Kerk, the big church. Have you ever been to the big church? It's a white church there. It's white. Can you hear? Yeah, it's white. It's a white church. We come from black churches, or maybe colored churches if you want to be there. But this one is white. Stand in the middle of the city. 4 square. Solid. Immovable. Present. And yet some of us don't know about it. It's there. And yet it is the memory of that church that speaks into the city on a day-to-day basis. It is the ideas of that church that penetrate the Cape Flats. Everything that you see in the Cape Flats come from that church. It shaped everything. And by the way, you thought you in Joburg. Anybody from Joburg? You are part of it. You are part of it. They captured you also. Yes, with a white church. I'm not making the church bad. I want you to first, if you cannot speak the truth for what it is, you will never know the truth. It will set you free. We entertain truth as if it's something that we can just play with. No, truth must sink in your heart. And when it's sunk into your heart, you need to act on it. So the invitation will be to go a little bit to the space and explore the space. I will leave a few things with you there. Yeah. And then other space is Slave Lodge. Over 130 years, 8,000 people went through that space. Very few of us know about it. And so that space is a peculiar space because some of you sitting here, your family came from that space. But you forgot. You forgot. And because you forgot, you forfeit. Because you forgot, you forfeit the blessing of what that is. Ja, hoe klink ek aan ons soos 'n pastoor hier? Oh! And so the slave lodge is another sacred space. Can you imagine the church, the slave lodge, literally one arm length away from each other? In the one place you preach the highest gospel, in the other place you dehumanize, you oppress. Give another word.
Oppressing.
Just say a word. Just say any word. Say. Say it. Come on, Joburg. Speak Joburg. Speak Joburg. Come on, say a word. Say a word. I'm here. Okay.
Insulting.
Insulting.
Not from God.
Not
You're
from
right.
God.
You're right.
Rape.
Vertrap.
Vertrap.
Criticize.
Criticize.
Bandlululo.
Hey! Say again.
Bandlululo.
Say it loud.
Bandlululo.
Interpret it. Listen to what the interpretation is. This is wrath. Come, you have to.
Just abused.
Abuse.
Evil.
Evil.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Dehumanize.
Dehumanize.
Anger.
Anger.
Disfranchise.
Disenfranchised.
Human rights violation.
Human rights violation.
Utsinye, cruelty.
It's too deep.
Utsinye,
Within.
cruelty.
Okay.
Violent.
Violent.
First rapes of women.
First rapes of women.
Lies.
Lies.
Brain damage.
Brain damage.
Embarrassed.
Embarrassed. Embarrassed. embarrassed. And so we're sitting in the middle of that. It's present. And we can't understand why we cannot come out of the mess. Because some of us are stuck in that. We're stuck in it. We indoctrinated. Huh? Here God van die leerskare. My God. So the invitation is for us to walk. But not just to walk, not just to eat, not just to walk, but to walk with awareness. That everywhere you will walk, you will tread on the souls of our ancestors. Everywhere in the city, you will tread on the souls of someone who has gone before us. And someone put tar all over it so that you can forget longer.
Sure.
But may we wake up. May we wake up. And so, those two spaces, I am inviting you to feel the hurt, but also feel the wholeness and the healing. You got to be able to shift to healing. If you, and I'm not saying, no, listen to me, and I'll close with this. Don't get this wrong. And all the preachers and teachers can kill me for this. You know, if I have hurt you, what is your name? Abby. If I have hurt you, right, and you must stand in front of, what is this one? The two, hurt and healing, right? If I hurt you and you stand in front of those, right, you got to keep this in your mind. No one can tell you when you must choose to let me go. Don't let people confuse you about that. It's your choice. I would like to invite you to get rid of that, but if you need to hold it a little bit longer, hold it. But my God, man, it's been long. It's been 400 years, 360, 70 years that we've been holding this. So somehow we got to let go so that new things come. Yeah. You got to do that. You got to do that. And so this is my end. This is my end. I don't know whose water is this. This is my end. You were talking about Afrocentric principles. In the Western traditions where I teach, there are 4 stages of rites of passage. Rites of passage. Anybody know what rites of passage is? Happy birthday to you. Sing with me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy, happy, happy birthday to. Oh, yeah. So part of the changes that we go through, everybody goes through changes, right? Now, in the African culture and the understanding, and when I say, no, this is another thing. Do you speak with people about this? Because colored people don't think they're African. Colored people are African. Oh, you spoke about it? So they are saved. Hallelujah. Yeah, colored people are African. Say, we are African. Yes. Yes, for sure, yeah. Don't miss it for one moment. So in the African traditions, this is one of the critical things. When we teach in the West, we have 4 stages of rites of passage. We say a child is born, which is the South. Ek het toer goed, mense. Kan ek kom met toer goed uit al? Bring my sak asseblief. The people's they're gonna bestraf me now. Hoeveel tyd het ek? Nou klaar maak. Uit 'n lied. Geen net die ene. Kom help gou hierso. Ja. Dis Johannes skoon. As ek sien is Johannes skoon is. Ja. Haal die enetjie uit vir ons. Yes. Sit hom aan neer. Sit hom aan neer, ja. Sit hom aan neer. Yes. Pragtig. Dis hier 'n vloer lap, julle loop hier op sulke. Dis die. You never walk on this. This is, the white people walk on this because they put it in their houses. But for us, this is sacred. This is the body covering that God offers to you. It's your skin. It covers you as a preserver of life. Because life is temporary. It's temporary, okay? And in the temporality, and what is temporal? in Afrikaans, they say, in die tydelikheid, you have a skin covering. Okay, and your skin can change. Some of you will turn pink when it's hot. Others will turn dark brown, and so forth. So you can change. You can also be white if you want to be white. So take anything. And so one of the things in our traditions is you guys know this from the church. We have the cup of sharing, generosity, the generosity. Let's put it there. That families share generously in our spaces. And this particularly comes from the Kam tradition, the Bushman traditions from which I come. This is a very old piece of hood. Hood calls you, hood and water. So I just, today I want to talk about the water. As we go to those two places, I'll bring you to water. In a real ceremony, you always pour some water. We call it libation. And Marachani know die goede doen nie, because neto slaan julle my. But what I want you to know is that every human being, whether you're white or whether you're bright or whether you have no color, you are called to the water in African traditions. In some traditions, you are called to go into the water, under the water. But it also means you are called to the place of cleansing so that you can get ready. So water is the essence of the call. It's the essence of the call. And it comes from pre-life, the essence of the call. So you can put the piece of hood there. Water is always in conjunction with hood, always. So water, today I want to talk to you about the water of what is water in the city. Water is also consciousness. The stuff that you forget and remember. Water, when you wash yourself, can you throw a bit of water on my hand? When you wash yourself, you are supposed to say, I clean. What is in this thing? I clean my mind. I purify it. Every day when you do it. But you forgot, you thought you must be clean. You know, somebody came and they told you must be clean. No, you're already clean. That's a school. You are clean here. So you don't need to wash, man. Other people can wash. So you wash yourself. And then you also do, throw more. You also do. You wash your eyes so that I can see what I really need to see. And not just the violence, because behind the violence there's beauty. And so can I see through the chaos of life, the cosmic act, what God has created? Can I see that? So Spirit, help me to see it properly today. When my child throws a tantrum, is it because he's angry or what? Because the first thing, the first thing we want to do is beat the child, but what is it that I need to see behind the tantrum? So show me. What is it that I must see? When I'm down and quiet in the house and there are issues that I struggle with, what is it that I must see before I get too emotional? Help me to see beyond my tears. Help me to see. And so water forms that principle, cleaning your ears. So when someone say to me, hey, ought not, what do I hear? I have a choice to hear ought not and say, if you check. I have that choice. But I can also have the moment of saying, he's deeply traumatized. That's why he's talking like that. And I can come with a different perspective because now I can hear deeper. I hear deeper, right? I hear deeper. And so you can go through your nose, your mouth. You got to wash your mouth, clean it so that your tongue, the fire of your tongue, the passion that you bring out, that brings life and not just destruction, okay? And so part of the South is about understanding that. Part of this moment of being called into this place, to this sacred moment, is about how do I deal with that? How do I wrestle with that? The call to dignity, the call to humanity, the call to be an agent of change and the call. You know, and so I think you leave the other stuff. I know you're curious, but let's go eat. Eat and state no. So that's the invitation. We'll talk a little bit about that. There are 7 stages in the African wheel, at least in my traditional wheel, 7 stages. Others as less and more. So I want to say thank you very much for coming. I hope I will be able to help you to ask questions, because questions are powerful. Okay? I'll try and tell a little bit of stories, but questions are powerful. You got to ask, be bold to ask when we go to those 2 sites. And I also want to ask you, when I ask you to be silent, try to be silent. Okay? So I really want you to listen with other ears. Listen with other ears. Okay? Feel with your heart. Feel with your body. You know, very important. And so, thank you very much for just trying to do this. Ek is nou klaar. I'm finished. My brother will do this incredible thing that he's done when I came in. He will bless us with a song.
Yeah, I was inspired with a melody and words. So I just want to leave it here. Why does a man always need to be strong? They say a man can never show weakness. We need to hide what we feel inside. Get up and fight the fight. 'Cause a man always have a plan. Sometimes a man doesn't have a plan. No. Sometimes a man doesn't have a plan. Thank you.
Let's sit with that. We were told many things, right? We need courage to listen and learn. You know, and that's I think that's what SAFI seeks to do as an organization, to create spaces for us to just pause, man. You know, just listen, learn. Respond to some of our mothers who were the ones who had to beat us. Because maybe in my case, in our case, my father never beated us. No? Was die woord beated? Wat hy het nie ons pak gegee nie. But my mother, you know, maybe played that role. And having listened to all, and it's interesting that you were talking about that and your experience, because Pastor Esther, didn't we just speak about that? Pastor Esther and I, we were on a trip. We just came back from Liberia, and we were talking about when a woman uses violence, when a woman beats a man for different reasons. And you were not in that conversation, but you were saying exactly what we were talking about. When a woman hits a man, she hits him because she wants him to wake up. Skrik wakker, hoe kan jy dit doen? why are you doing this? You know? When a man beats a woman, he does what the Europeans did. When the colonizers came to us and they used violence to beat us into submission, to beat us into silence, beat you because you're not supposed to be a free human being with, with expression and ideas and so forth and so on. And when our men have been beaten by the colonizers of this country, our men have been beaten with that same force to say that you are not human. So when Edward sings that song, he's not just singing songs that is made up. It is part of the struggle that African men has. Now, it is important for us to understand this, because otherwise we will become, even as women who are doing this work, we will become part of the problem if we do not understand what African men is experiencing, was forced into, right? And so when we say we are healing together, it is important to pause, to make time. When I used to work in the shelter at St. Anne's, I used to say to the woman, that is such a privilege. It's not the place you ever thought you wanted to be. Nobody wants to live in a shelter. But life is giving you this extraordinary opportunity to plug out of your everyday life. You know, the person who thought they beat you, they put you out. What I used to say to the women is actually what they have contributed to is to get God to give you this time alone, away from the people you know. You get to meet other people that you've never thought you would meet, only to find you, for you to discover yourself. And so we're going through this journey day to day, and even now in this Indaba, to just help us pause, listen, pay attention to what needs to shift, pay attention to when I become the colonizer, when I become the perpetrator, right? In as much as I have been victimized, but to also wake up, see, hear. But in the end, it's the collective at the same time. The mess that we are in, the mess that was created, we need to understand that so that we then can understand our own personal positioning, in all of this. So thank you, Edward. Thank you, everyone. I know that we haven't had a conversation yet because this morning was a lot about input, input. But what I would like for us to now do is we're going to get something to eat, because ek is baie honger soos ek hier staan. Anyway, and then I want to ask graciously if we could move, towards our next, the venue, the Grote Kerk, by 1:15. Ne? So if we just have something now and eat, and then we will gather in front at the stoep, just here actually, and those who need transport, we'll work that out. But we want to leave at 1:15. Is that in order? Okay. Keep your reflections. You will be talking to each other, but if you